Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. It's your girl, the Brooke Ashley, and today we are here to discuss Kandi and the Gang, Season 1, Episode 7. And let me start off by saying that a lot of people in this episode really pissed me off. Patrick worked my nerves, his girlfriend Safari, who never has a smile on her face, Brandon and Dominique, y'all also tried it, especially you, Dominique. Because for you to do that to your friend was wrong and you know it. But with all that being said, let's just jump right on into this recap because we don't have a minute to spare. So we start this episode off with Chandrika and Dominique meeting up for drinks and they're catching up. So now Chandrika is discussing the conversation that she had with Kandi and Todd the other day, how they confronted her about what she was saying. And I was just thinking, Chandrika, this was about 3 episodes ago. Why are you still talking about it? It happened. You said what you said. You got caught. Let's move on. I was like, talk about beating a dead horse. So now Dominique says, well, that sucks, but I have one better because the same thing happened to me and Brandon. Those cameras caught us hugged up in the break room, and now the cat's out of the bag about me and Brandon being together. Then she goes on to say that one of them has to relocate, but she's not going to be the one to do that. And I said, I know that's right. If Brandon wants you bad enough, like he claims he does, then he'll be the one to go to another location. It should not have to be Dominique. So now we see a parallel scene with Patrick, Brandon, and Torin. They're over having some drinks at Brandon's house, and they start discussing Patrick's party. So Patrick has the nerve to ask Torin once again for his help on decorating. Now, if somebody had asked me to help them, then they told me that they no longer need my services. You can't then ask me for help after you low-key fired me. The way Patrick went about firing Torin was messed up. And if I were Torin, I would have said, I'm sorry, friend, but let Safari handle it because you relieved me of those duties. I'm not helping. And then on top of that, the fact that you want Torin to do this for free, absolutely not. I'm like, I don't like all these freebies on this cast. Everybody wants something for free all the time. I'm like, can y'all open up your wallets, please? I guess I'm just different. If I solicited a friend for their help with event planning, I would pay them. I'm not somebody who's going to ask a friend for a freebie or a discount. If you offer it to me, that's great, but I like to pay people for their services. So Torin agrees to help out, and again, Torin is way too nice because it wouldn't be me. So now we find out that Patrick doesn't even have furniture. He says that this party is going to be like a standing social. It's going to be more like an art exhibit. So I'm like, if you want to have a gathering at your house, please be prepared to have guests over. Hearing Patrick talk about there's not going to be any furniture and everybody has to stand, that really pissed me off. I'm a big believer in doing things the right way, doing things well, or just not doing them at all. If I need to penny pinch and nickel and dime, then I don't need to be throwing the party or going out. And that was something that my dad always said. He always said, don't do things halfway, especially when it comes to throwing a party. I'm very much all or nothing. If I can't travel the way I want to travel, if I can't stay in the hotel that I want to stay in, I'd rather not go. I know that people think that that's extreme, but for me, I just am one of those people where if I can't go the way I want to go, if it can't be first class, I don't want to go. I know that might sound like, wow, but it's like, that's just me. Everybody's different, but if I throw a party, I want it to be amazing. I want the guests to feel welcome and at home. I want you just to have a good time, enjoy yourself, eat as much as you want, drink as much as you want, no expense spared. I'm not going to throw a party and there's no furniture, there's no chairs, there's no food. You're not going to be passing around one little bottle of wine. Like, no. If I'm going to throw something, it's going to be done right. And I think that Patrick, if you need to do all this to cut corners, then maybe just wait until you can do it right. So now the conversation changes gears, and Brandon brings up the drama that happened with Don Juan catching him on the phone with Chandrika while she was venting. So Patrick interjects and says, oh, I already know what happened because Chandrika rolled up on me and Melvin and accused us of snitching. So now they start joking around about how those cameras catch everything. And so Brandon decides to bring up how he also got caught hugging up on Dominique in the break room. So now Patrick starts joking around about how Kandi and Ty met on the job and it worked out, so nobody should be upset at Brandon and Dominique. And while Kandi and Ty did fall in love on the job, their situation is a little bit different than Brandon and Dominique's. I'm just saying. Then Brandon goes on to say that going forward, he's gonna lie and just say that they've broken up. Now I said, Brandon, nobody's gonna believe that because you guys hang out with each other after work, so somebody is bound to run their mouths to management that you guys are still seeing each other. So that's not gonna work. Own up to you and Dominique's relationship and tell management that you're going to be the one to move to a different location. Period, point blank. So now we flip over to the next scene, and it's a busy day at OLG. Philip's there, and so is Brandon. And of course, Brandon is doing nothing like he usually does. And I want to know, how does Brandon have the title of manager? Because every time I see him, he's sitting at the bar on his phone, texting, listening to music, talking to everybody, and just doing nothing. But anyhow, Philip says in his confessional that Brandon is reliable, but he doesn't do much. And I'm like, Philip, the way you get on everybody else's case, get on Brandon's case. Because like I said, Brandon doesn't do a whole lot. Now, mind you, it's one of those really crazy days where everything seems to be going wrong. One of the bartenders calls Philip over because the drain is clogged and the whole bar area is flooded. I just want to know what is happening over at Old Lady Gang. We've seen the lights shut off, no generator, the bar's flooded. In one of the earlier episodes, we saw how nasty the bar area looked. There was all this dirty food on the floor. Like, what's going on? Y'all are on national TV. Y'all have to do better. And if I were a customer there and I saw that bar all flooded out like that with that clogged drain, I would have walked out and left.
Oh! Shout out to everybody. I had fun.
I gotta be good.
So while Philip is dealing with the craziness at the bar, we see Patrick outside at the parking lot, and he's calling up Mama Joyce, his grandma, who's Aunt Bertha, and Aunt Nora, and he's inviting them all to have a dessert bake-off. He wants there to be some more desserts at OLG because they only have 2 options. I said, how do you guys only have 2 dessert options? And as much as this family enjoys eating and baking, I'm really surprised that they would only have 2 options. And if you have been to OLG, please let me know what the 2 options were. Were they good? Do they at least have a banana pudding or a bread pudding? Like, let me know down below. And can we quickly discuss how unintentionally sexual Patrick made the dessert bake-off sound when he was talking to them? Especially when he talked to his grandma. He was like, yeah, grandma, I can't wait to taste your moist, juicy pound cake. And I was just laughing because I was like, I know he didn't mean it that way, but it just sounded so sexual. Now we jump to the next scene with Brian, Chandrika, and Torin at the wig shop. Brian says that he loves wigs. They are a big part of him, and he started wearing them since his hair started thinning. And you know that Brian can do no wrong in my eyes. So he had me on the floor when he put those old lady wigs on and started imitating Aunt Bertha and Aunt Nora, and he sounded just like them. So while they're trying on wigs and joking around, Torin brings up Patrick's housewarming party, and he wants to know if Chandrika is going to attend. Chandrika's on the fence. She feels like it's kind of weird, and I feel like it's kind of weird too. Personally, if I don't get a personalized invite, especially with somebody that I had a past with, or if we didn't get along that well, I wouldn't go. If I don't get a clear invitation, if it's not a clear yes, I won't be in attendance. And Torin was getting on my nerves when he kept asking Chandrika to come. I'm like, if she feels uncomfortable, then that's her sign right there not to go. I would have said, Torin, I love you to death, but I won't be in attendance. And while that's great that you are planning this party, I won't be there. I'm not going to set myself up for embarrassment or failure. So Chandrika comes in and agrees to attend. And like I said, sis, you should have told him no. Because you saying yes bit you in the ass later on. Now we move on to the next scene, and it is the day of the dessert bake-off at Kandi and Todd's house. So Kandi and Todd are there. Mama Joyce, Aunt Nora, Aunt Bertha arrive. And Melvin and Patrick are there because they're going to be the judges. Now, in my personal opinion, I think that this bake-off would have been better had they had the whole entire staff there and if nobody knew who made what. I think it was kind of silly to have Aunt Bertha's grandsons judging and then for them to all say who made what. You already knew that Patrick and Melvin were going to vote for their grandma because that's going to be an automatic bias. Just my opinion, I just feel like they should have done a better job with the bake-off and the whole judging system. So anyhow, they started off with Aunt Nora's coconut cake. If you know me, then you know that I love coconut. I love almond joys. I like a coconut cake. Like, I would have torn that piece up, okay? Then it's time for Mama Joyce's cake. She did a pineapple angel food cake. That also gets some great reviews. And then the last cake is Aunt Bertha's pound cake. Now, I couldn't stop laughing when Aunt Nora said, let's be honest, this isn't Bertha's best. Like, she burned the cake. But anyhow, Mama Joyce is the winner, and she's going to have her dessert on the menu at OLG, and she's excited. This is totally off topic, but I have to say, like, dessert is cool, but I don't have to have dessert. Like, I'm not a huge sweets person. Don't get me wrong, I do like sweets, but if I had to choose between sweets or food, I'm gonna always choose the food, okay? Like, I like a meal. Desserts, I can take it or leave it. But when I am in the mood for a dessert, I'll go for like a banana pudding, a bread pudding. I like creme brulee, tiramisu. Those are my 4. Other desserts, I'm like, no thanks. Now it's the day of Patrick and Melvin's party, and we see them both at their apartment and they're cleaning up. Patrick is talking about he doesn't want anybody using his bathroom, and he scribbles on the bathroom mirror, no number 2s allowed. So now Melvin says, you know what? Why don't you take the toilet paper out the bathroom? I was like, are y'all crazy right now? I said, is this kind of immaturity that shows that y'all do not need to be throwing any type of party? Because the stupidity is alarming. Like, who does this? Now we see Torin arrive to Patrick and Melvin's place. He has some plants over. He's talking about the decorations, where things are gonna go. And, you know, he's excited. So Torin is setting up. He's bringing in the high top tables from OLG to Patrick and Melvin's place. So while he's doing that, we see Brandon, Dominique, Chandrika, and her fiance June at OLG together. They're sitting at the bar, and they're just gonna, you know, pregame and just talk before the party. So we see Dominique discussing the game plan of how she and Brandon are going to show up to the party first, and then she'll text Chandrika, letting her know, you know, when's the right time to come up. So they agree to that, and it's all good. Now we flip back over to Patrick and Melvin at their apartment, and the party has officially started. Mama Joyce, Aunt Bertha, Aunt Nora arrive. They have presents in hand. And then Kandi and Todd arrive. And when I tell you that everybody was like, okay, so where are the seats? And you know Aunt Bertha, who never smiles, was pissed, okay? Mama's face was twisted, and I could not stop laughing when she saw that there was no seats, and she just shook her head and said, nah.
No.
Now I said, Patrick, if your grandma had went over there and slapped you, I wouldn't even have been mad, because how dare you? You know good and damn well that your grandma and your aunts are all old and they need to sit down. Why would you have anybody, especially them, stand for hours on end? And I said, what a mess, when I think it was Torin brought out his suitcase and he had on Bertha sit on the suitcase. I'm like, a suitcase is not a chair. Brian arrives. He has over a few pans of his egg rolls, and we see everybody eating the food. I will say that the food did look good. It looked like he had a pretty nice spread. It looked like I saw some shrimp and grits and, some other stuff, but still, I don't understand why it's so hard for you to have some furniture. So anyhow, the party's going along. It looks very dry, very stale, in my opinion. Everybody's just standing, and we see Safari arrive. Kandi clocks how dull and how dry Safari is, and Todd even comments that he's never even heard her speak or smile. She's just like this, no emotion, no personality, no nothing. I can't be around anybody with no personality. I get that everybody's not the life of the party or talkative, but I can't do dull. There's a difference between being quiet or reserved or shy, and then there's dull. And Safari is dull. And you could tell that Kandi doesn't really like her, but she's trying to be nice, because this is about like the third time that she's made a comment about Safari and her personality. Now we see Philip and Rashard show up, and at this time, we see that there's a guitarist there and a mic. Child, Brian walks up to that mic and starts singing his rendition of Amazing Grace. And Brian, I love you, but you sounded a fool on that mic. Brian was on that mic hitting notes I had never heard in Amazing Grace, okay? He was going high, low. Amazing Grace. How sweet the sound. And the worst part was he just kept going and going and going and going. I couldn't stop laughing. Everybody was like, Brian is flat, okay? Like, I'm sure he can sing or at least carry a tune, but this ain't that. So while the party's dragging on inside, we see Brandon, Dominique, Chandrika, and June outside. So Dominique says, okay, here's the plan. Me and Brandon are gonna go to the party first, and then we'll text you when to come. So Brandon and Dominique go up, hand in hand. Everybody's staring like, okay, it's official, they're dating. And nobody seems to be too pleased about it either. So Kandi makes a joke like, here comes the lovebirds. And then Todd says, yeah, we're about to fire one of them. And Candy's like, look, don't do that here, Todd, okay? Like, just have fun. Don't bring all that to this. So Dominique and Brandon are having a good time. They're having some drinks, talking to everybody. And then Dominique drops the news that Chandrika and June are outside waiting to come up. So of course, now the drama begins. Safari has to be super extra, and she's like, well, they can stay outside because they're not coming up here. I'm like, shut up. This isn't your place. It's not your party. Just keep quiet. Safari has such a nasty attitude. So now Dominique calls out Patrick, and she says, well, Patrick, you did invite everybody when we went out a few weeks ago. So Patrick says, well, I said that before I ran it by Safari. But when Safari said that she didn't want her to come, then I changed my mind and said, okay, she can't come. So now Kandi interjects, and she says, well, Patrick, did you ever talk to Chandrika about this, let her know that she wasn't invited anymore? And he's like, well, I don't have her number. And I'm like, Patrick, y'all work together. You've seen Chandrika out. You've seen her in the restaurant. You could have told her anytime, hey, Chandrika, no hard feelings. I don't want this to be awkward, but my girlfriend does not feel comfortable with you attending the party. That's all you could have said. There was no reason for you not to say anything. So now Kandi says, well, if that's the case, go downstairs right now, be an adult, and just tell her that there's been a misunderstanding and let her know the deal. So of course, Patrick can't go down by himself. He needs his girlfriend to go down with him because she just loves drama and she loves being messy and rude. So she just can't wait to sink her teeth into Chandrika. So anyhow, Patrick, Safari, and Torin are outside and they are having a conversation with Chandrika and June. And Patrick breaks the news that unfortunately they are no longer invited to the party. Patrick goes on to say, it's no hard feelings. I didn't think to tell you that you were no longer invited because I didn't think that you were coming in the first place. So Chandrika and June are like, okay, cool, whatever. But you can see that they are visibly pissed because I don't care what anybody says. That is very embarrassing to be told that you are no longer invited somewhere, especially when you're already at the event, okay? It's like the equivalent of everybody gets into this hot club and you're outside, online, and the bouncers are letting everybody else go in except you. That's what it feels like. And who wants to be humiliated? Now, in my personal opinion, like I had said earlier, if I were Chandrika and June, I would have never showed up in the first place. I would never give anybody the satisfaction of humiliating me. That's not happening. If I don't hear a clear, Brooke, you are invited, I will not be in attendance. I am not that desperate or that pressed to be out in people's faces, okay? And you could see how embarrassed Chandrika was. But she definitely sucked it up and took it on the chin. But I could tell that she was just really pissed off at Torin for forcing her to come in the first place. And if Patrick were a stand-up person, he would have just said, you know what, Safari, I had all this time to uninvite her. I didn't do it. They're standing outside our place right now. Let's just have them come in. She has a man. You're my woman. What does it hurt? We already see each other at work all the time. So again, it's not going to kill us to be friendly. And Dominique, I have some choice words for you, sis, because what you did was dead ass wrong and trifling, and you know it. And I was glad when Richard called you out and said, you should be going downstairs with Patrick, Torin, and Safari as well. I thought that was so messed up that you went back on your promise. You told Chandrika multiple times that when me and Brandon go up to the party first, we're going to text you guys and tell you guys when to come. Y'all got to that party and were mingling, drinking, and you weren't even thinking about Chandrika or June. You had them standing out there for 30 minutes. And when Chandrika's fiance, June, was like, isn't Dominique supposed to be your friend? The fact that she would leave us outside like that, who does that? And when Chandrika said, yeah, I wouldn't do that to her, but I guess we're two different people. I said, yeah, they're definitely not going to be friends after this because, again, what Dominique did was wrong. I would have cursed Dominique clean out. So now we see Chandrika and June go back home, and now Patrick, Safari, and Torin go back up to the party, and Patrick is upset with Torin. He says that this is all Torin's fault because he knew that Chandrika wasn't invited and he invited her anyway. While that might be so, you're the one who's at fault. Because you had ample time to let Chandrika know that things had changed and she was no longer invited. Period, point blank. You're a coward and you didn't have the balls to tell Chandrika to her face. Damn near 30, but yet acting like you're still a kid. Grow up. And Torin, let this be the last time that you invite somebody to an event that's not yours. You should have never pressed Chandrika about attending in the first place. If I were Chandrika, I would have cursed every last one of y'all out. I would have cursed out Dominique, Brandon, Patrick, and Torin. because y'all sat up here making me look stupid. But the episode ends with Dominique and Brandon hugging and kissing all over each other at the party. Everybody is high-key annoyed and disgusted. And Mama Joy says that she can't believe that Brandon would have the audacity to kiss Dominique in front of them like this. Like, have some respect. But Brandon is a goofball too, so what do you expect? But y'all, that's where the episode ends. And it looks like for next week's episode, it's going to be a whole lot of mess with Brandon and Dominique having to choose between their jobs or their relationship. But guys, this was a great episode. I enjoyed myself. Although I was annoyed, it was very entertaining. But again, thank you so much for watching my recap. I hope you all enjoyed. And as always, please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And I will see you all later. Bye.